All right, welcome everyone to the overview of the K-2 class pilot. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join in. I know schedules are hectic and full right now, so we really appreciate and value your time. So we planned this webinar with the goal of providing you with the information you need to get started using class this school year. I do want to take a quick moment to introduce myself as a contact for the K-2 class pilot. I'm Dr. Lisa Holliday, and I work on the K-2 team for the Office of Teaching and Learning, formerly known as the Office of Academics at LDOE. And while I am new to this side of the pilot work, I am not new to class. I come from a school that has participated in class since day one, and I used the observation tool to help support teachers as an instructional coach. So I'm familiar with the important work that you're doing, and now my goal is to support all of you in the implementation or continuation of class in grades K through 2. Our goals today are to share the framework of the class tool, provide new and existing partners with current information related to the pilot, and share updated guidance for the 2020-2021 school year. This school year has certainly presented some unique opportunities for the way we teach and learn. So we want to make sure that teachers and students are supported in any learning environment with positive interactions, which is what class is all about. Our focus with the K-2 class pilot is to support schools in improving those high quality, positive interactions between teachers and students in any setting. Teachstone, which is the developer of class, provides training and professional development on the class tool. And they have also released guidance for how to become reliable observers and conduct observations in virtual, hybrid, and traditional classrooms. Their guidance also includes modifications that are necessary due to COVID-19 related considerations. And these guidance documents will be specifically linked later in the slide deck. So why should we continue or join the K-2 class pilot? Well, there's lots of great reasons. Louisiana's goal is to have all schools with kindergarten, first grade, and second grade classrooms utilizing class as a professional development and observational tool. Class can also be used as a measure of instructional effectiveness for teachers. And in many of our participating schools, administrators have opted to use class in place of Compass for those teacher evaluations. Class is divided into 3 domains that measure interactions between teachers and students, and those domains are emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support. And we will explore these in more detail in a few slides. Teachstone offers several options for training and ongoing professional development as well, so that teachers and observers are always supported and prepared. We feel that class effectively aligns to our goals and expectations for Louisiana students in grades K through 2. I'd like to pause here for just a moment, particularly for those who have participated in class before. And I'd love to just hear some feedback before we dig in any deeper from the field. So in the chat box, would some of you who have participated in class previously, please share your experiences and takeaways so far? And Meredith, I'm not sure if I'm able to see the chat or not, but if there's any responses in there, feel free to share those out. Anyone who would like to share some of your takeaways or experiences that has participated in class previously. Oh, now I'm seeing a few. So we've got our teachers love the class tool because it provides specific feedback on all dimensions. Absolutely. That's from Sonia. And that is definitely a prime feature of class is that it has specific targeted feedback that is meant to support teachers in their interactions with students. That's a great piece of feedback. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on, but if anyone else has other things they would like to share, please feel free to drop that in the chat, and you may think of something throughout our discussion as well once we hit on these domains in more detail. I can say from my personal experience in the classroom and as a coach, it really, the class tool really lent itself very well to these lower grade levels as a great tool for observation. The indicators that it measures are much more relatable to the K-2 classroom. So in school systems that have already implemented and used class, we have seen lots of positive results. These are three key gains that have been noted over the course of the pilot. We've seen greater collaboration between teachers and grade levels across grade levels, which leads to smoother transitions for the children from one grade level to the next. And this has been particularly noted in pre-K to the kindergarten levels. The pilot did start in kindergarten, so that's where it is most widely used currently. But that jump from pre-K to kindergarten, that transition has been made smoother through the use of class. We've also seen better delivery of instruction. It helps teachers guide and improve their instruction with their high quality curriculum. It also reduces behavior issues and increases engagement, even in the skills-based instruction where a lot of times interactions may be less, but the class tool provides ways to support that. And improved outcomes for children, which is our ultimate goal. Based on the case studies that we've done, it shows children reading at on or above grade level measured by their literacy screeners. So we've seen some great gains so far and hope to continue that trend. We also believe that class clearly aligns with Louisiana's vision for our K-2 students, and you'll see that vision on this slide. All of these goals that you see are embedded in the domains and indicators that frame the class tool. By using a tool like class that is grounded in the same missions and goals, we can ensure that our students are successful and ready for the next grade level. And you'll notice even some common language here across the vision and the class tool. So let's take a deeper look at the class observation tool and its domains. Some of you may already be more familiar with class because you've been using it, but let's just dig in and take a quick look at how it works. Class is a high quality observational tool, so it effectively sets high expectations for teachers. It tells observers exactly what to look and listen for. It measures the quality of interactions between teachers and students. It creates a common language on instructional practice. It can absolutely be used across curriculum and make the transition seamless. It promotes high quality, meaningful professional development that can assist in all facets of the classroom environment, and it also leads to those positive outcomes for children. Research shows that positive interactions with students improves outcomes for students even up into the higher grades. So it is a continuous benefit. The three domains of class impact student outcomes in the following positive ways. As you can see, language and literacy skills were improved across the span of the three domains of class. This includes early reading skills that are foundational to children becoming proficient readers. In addition to overall improvement in language and literacy skills, positive teacher-student interactions on indicators that represent emotional support, they increase social competence and relationships, positive classroom organization interactions, improve executive functioning skills, inhibitory control, behavior, and math skills in students. And positive instructional support improves behavior competence in addition to those language and literacy skills. The class improves student outcomes across multiple areas of a child's life at school. So what exactly do those three domains measure? Before we explore the domains, it's important to understand the organization of the tool. So these three overarching domains, emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support, are further broken down into dimensions, and there are measurable indicators within those dimensions that accompany them. So looking at emotional support, the things we want to see are high positive climate, low negative climate, teacher sensitivity, and regard for student perspectives. And I just want to take a quick moment here to note that the negative climate dimension would be the only place we want to see a low score. All of the other areas we're looking for high numbers. For classroom organization, we're looking at behavior management, productivity, and instructional learning formats. So really just those procedures and routines that should be in place and seamless transitions. Instructional support looks at concept development, quality of feedback, and language modeling. So really focusing on the conversations between teachers and students, making sure they're constructive and high quality. Things like saying more than just good job, giving an example. If a child is drawing a bird, saying, oh, I like how you added feathers to the wings of that bird, having very specific, directed feedback to the students. All right, so let's share some examples of how these domains and dimensions actually look in K-2 classrooms. We're going to take this by those separate domains, and I want lots of feedback here, so y'all please feel free to share in the chat box. Let's take a look first at emotional support, and we're going to look at these three questions for each domain. So starting with emotional support, and there's a reminder of what that includes on the sidebar, those dimensions. I would love to hear from you guys, whether you have been in the class pilot already or you're new to it. You can tell me what you have seen or what you hope to see. What types of interactions do you want to see more of in classrooms that would reflect the emotional support dimension? So let's just think of some examples, because things like these are so much easier to understand when you have concrete examples. So what are some examples you have seen or hope to see of things like positive climate, low negative climate, teacher sensitivity, and regard for student perspectives? Y'all please share some examples in the chat of examples of interactions you have seen done well for emotional support, so that those of us who may be new to it will have some idea of how this works and how it looks. I'll give everybody a minute to respond in the chat, please. All right, Sonia says that we always encourage teachers to increase RSP, things like teachers giving autonomy and being flexible. It can be a struggle to give up control, but great conversations can happen, which also increase instructional support. So I love how you tied those two together. I think that's a point that's important to be made regarding class is a lot of times, and I found that for me personally at least, teachers struggled to realize that they do a lot of this stuff anyway. So even though we may have curriculum in place that kind of tells you step by step what to do, the class tool can really support what you're already doing in the classroom. So like Sonia said, it can be a little bit of a struggle to give up some of that control that we like to have in the classroom, but it definitely opens up some great doors for conversation. And the domains and dimensions can absolutely work hand in hand. So something you're doing positively in emotional support can also reflect something that is in the instructional support or classroom organization domains. So yes, you can absolutely lump some of those things together. And just to clarify, I did have a question come up. I know we're going over a lot of overview information right here, but we are going to get into specifics about this school year coming up soon. So hang in there, we're getting there. Any other examples of high emotional support interactions? And then the next two questions we can kind of lump together. How would you help, or how would you like the class tool to help you support these goals, support your teachers, and overall improve practice? What are your hopes for the class tool and using this in classrooms? How can it best support you? So if you would just drop an answer to that in the chat, and I'll share those out. Lisa says using scenarios and videos to show clear examples of domains and dimensions. Absolutely. And Teachstone has lots of those resources as well, of the video recordings of actual classroom interactions. I think that's a great idea to do on your campus as well. If you have a teacher willing to be recorded, I know that's kind of nerve wracking, but it's kind of, I've done that before, and it's kind of fun to see yourself play back and think, ooh, I should have done this better, or ooh, I did really well at that, or that went over better than I thought. So that's a great idea. Lots of stronger student to student conversations as well. Absolutely. Feedback loops and probing are big parts of those qualities of feedback in the class tool. So yes, Sonia says it encourages the teachers to keep trying when the kids are struggling. Definitely. That's something, especially in those lower grades, that can be hard to pull out, is those conversations between students, and class really supports that in a great way. All right, let's take a look at the next domain, classroom organization. So this one focuses again on behavior management, productivity, instructional learning format. So kind of those rules and procedures in place, routines and procedures. So again, what are some interactions that you see here that may be encompassed in these dimensions that you hope to see more of? And you can also be, I know this year's, such a challenging year and unique learning environments and such. So if you can think of examples given your learning formats that you're using at your schools of what you hope to see in those new learning formats as far as interactions go, please feel free to share those as well. And we will get into the more discussion about that in a few minutes as well. But I think that's an important thought to have, is how do we want this to look in all of these different ways that the students are learning now? Ooh, this is a good one from Lisa. Positive narration of expectations. Absolutely. Um, that can be a struggle for teachers as well, I think, is to remember to state the expectations in a positive way, whether it be lesson objective expectations or behavior expectations, and especially with the variety of ways that instruction is happening, making those expectations clear is absolutely pivotal this year. Preparation and learning opportunities within transitions. Absolutely. Use those transitions for those opportunities that they present. All of those are such important elements. And again, these are routines and procedures, but if you do them in a positive way, then guess what? You are scoring highly on emotional support as well, because you're creating a positive environment. So they absolutely all work together. And then also, how can class help you improve your practice and support teachers in these areas? So what would you hope using class this year will help you do better? Yeah, I think just providing that constructive feedback can really help guide teachers with their planning and preparation, and just really they're having to learn a new way of doing things in some cases too. So this tool can really help guide their planning and preparation for these different learning environments that they may be responsible for. All right, and then finally, instructional support. Again, looking at concept development, quality of feedback, and language modeling. What are some types of interactions you hope to see more of reflected in these dimensions in our classrooms this year? And how can class help you support those goals for interactions on instructional support? And this one might even be a challenging one just because of the different learning environments. So I think this one can really help us work through some ways that class can be useful. I'm thinking about like video recording or like Zoom sessions for teaching or distance learning students. What are some ways that y'all can think of that quality of feedback and language modeling would be useful in those types of environments? I would love for us to share some ideas on that. And keep in mind, this doesn't have to be all teacher talk directed. I'm thinking, looking at concept development, I'm thinking of modes of presentations, how the information is presented to students. Sonia says they use breakout rooms and have students discuss. That's a great idea for Zoom. You can still do that small group instruction with breakout rooms. Also the flipped classroom where they read at home. So just being, like we said earlier, being flexible and adapting to some of these new ways of learning that can definitely be supported by the classroom, by the class tool. And Sonia says they use Microsoft Teams. That's not what I'm familiar with, so that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I think quality of feedback is so important, especially in the virtual or distance learning settings. Teachers will need to be very clear and obvious with their feedback, and there's just so many opportunities for that as well. I'm thinking of classes that use Google Classroom. Teachers can comment and leave lots of feedback directly in the student work. So Even though we've got some challenges to face this school year, I really see so many ways that class can support that positively and actually make the transitions easier, hopefully. All right, I'm going to move on, but y'all feel free to continue sharing. I'm loving these ideas. I think that's the best way to learn, is sharing ideas with each other. All right, the big questions that I know are on your minds. How can class fit into this crazy school year? I know teachers are worried about this as much as schools and district leaders are, but I want to assure you, first and foremost, that we are here to support you through this at whatever stage of participation you are in. So let's jump in and talk about some of the things that may be a little different this year. COVID-19 concerns are definitely at the top of everyone's list. We have been working very closely with Teachstone to ensure that the most current guidance is available to you. So this is that guidance I was talking about earlier. Teachstone continues to update their guidance and training opportunities to reflect the needs of teachers and observers. Currently, all of their trainings are being offered virtually, so they are doing their best to accommodate the needs of everyone there. One of the big questions during this time is, how do we conduct observations? So as long as Louisiana is in phase 1, 2, or 3 of our reopening plan, in-person observations should be limited to one individual observer. Shadow scoring is not required to take place in person. We are waiving that requirement so that the impact on the classrooms is as minimal as possible. Shadow scoring is still encouraged if you would like to use it during live or recorded video observations, since you would not be actually interacting in person there. The most important thing to remember through all of this is that positive interactions matter. Teachers and students will all benefit from the type of supportive feedback and positive, high-quality interactions that the class tool offers. Regardless of the setting or learning environment, I think we can absolutely remain unified in our belief that we need positive interactions now more than ever. And these are actual hyperlinks to the guide, two of the main guidance documents from Teachstone. They have guidance on how to conduct observations during COVID times, and also how to conduct observations during virtual teaching. So those are very helpful resources there, and you'll have access to those. So what does this year look like for the pilot? This table shows the rollout of the class pilot beginning with kindergarten in 2016-2017. The number of participating schools and teachers has grown each year. We introduced the pilot in first grade last year in 2019-2020 and hope to continue expanding that participation. We are opening it to second grade this year as well. I know many of you may have completed a survey on your participation plans back in February, but we also recognize that a lot has changed since then. So we will be asking you to complete a brief survey at the end of this webinar to provide current information for us moving forward together for the 2020-2021 school year. So we will have updated numbers for the next column in our chart once we have those surveys completed. Another primary concern many of you may have is how the pilot can be funded. There are several options for school systems to possibly be able to take advantage of. If a school has other funding sources such as Title I or other professional development categories, those funds can be used as well. But if you look at these items here, if you're an existing partner who receives Circle funds, you may use those current or reallocated funds in the K-2 grade band. New partners, there are some ways you can request early literacy funds for CIR and UIR schools in the K-2 grade band, so that would cover class. Existing partners, you're also open to that as well for any new school sites or new classrooms or new training that you would like to do. Keyword there is new. So if you have any specific questions about funding or what will work for your system, please email me, and my contact will be at the end of this webinar. But we realize that different sites will have very different needs. So if you have any questions specific to funding options, please reach out and we will work together to find a solution. So some of those expenditures for class would be like training, that ongoing professional development, materials needed for the training, and observer recertification. So again, any specific questions on that, please send me an email. This table gives us an overview of what participation in the pilot looks like. So this would be helpful for anyone considering expanding or joining. Starting in year 1, the primary focus is on training and professional development. Typically, observations are conducted twice per year, once in the fall semester and again in the spring semester. There's also a conversion chart available to convert class scores into Compass scores, and it's linked there where it says performance ratings, so that you can convert that into teacher performance ratings if you wish to do so. Throughout the years of participation, expansions can be made into other grade levels or school sites. So that's kind of seen throughout year 2, 3, and 4. There are also additional trainings available with the ultimate goal of supporting school systems and sustaining class even after the pilot. Teachstone offers many options for training and professional development. This is just a snapshot of some of the trainings they offer that are most helpful in the beginning of the pilot participation. There are additional trainings available, especially for those that maybe have been in the pilot and have already done these trainings. There are other levels available. And there is a link on the next slide that I'll show you to a specific website that was designed for Louisiana's class pilot. So it has a full list available. Like I said, this is just a quick snippet of what I thought would be most valuable up front. It is important to note that these are trainings hosted by Teachstone. Again, they're all virtual this year. And the pricing options reflect what it would cost to have their trainers conduct the training and professional development. If you have an affiliate trainer in your system, that cost will be much less. So if you have an affiliate trainer, I would strongly recommend checking out the full list on the website that is linked on the next slide, and that will give you an idea of what it would be for you. There are numerous resources offered by the department and Teachstone to support your participation in the class pilot. These are 2 case studies that we've conducted that you can see details on there. The class guide to implementation and the office hours documents have both been updated as of today to reflect the current school year. So do peruse those, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Office hours are scheduled at the moment to start in January, but if we need time before then, we will absolutely work something out. And then, oops, go back one. That Teachstone for Louisiana, that is the website for Louisiana's class pilot. So if you click on that, it has the training list, it has training resources, and all kinds of things that can help you through the implementation of the pilot. This slide has links to a survey for you to please complete this week so that we can best support you through the implementation and use of class. There are separate links for those of you who have participated in previous years, so make sure you click on that top one that says existing partners, and those of you who have not yet participated but would like to, so you'll do the second link that says new partners. So please make sure you check out the correct one. The main takeaway that we want you to have from this webinar is that even though this school year presents challenges and raises concerns that we have never faced before, we want to encourage your participation in this pilot because it truly supports the goals and missions of our K-2 classrooms and highlights the increasingly important need for positive teacher-student interactions. We want to assure you that we are here to work with you and problem solve to ensure that you have what you need to implement class this year. We want to make this initiative as accessible as possible during this challenging time while still maintaining the integrity of the work. If you have any questions or concerns that you'd like to address regarding your specific school situation, please reach out and email me and let us help you work through those. These webinar slides are already uploaded to the Louisiana Believes website so that you can access the links to the surveys and other resources. If you need a direct link though, if it's just easier for you that way, please email me. And this is how you can access those resources. A couple of different ways here. You can click right on the words that say class pilot whenever you, well, I guess you can't right now. You would want to do that after you open the webinar. You can search class in the search bar at the top of the Louisiana Believes website. But if you like to click extra, then here's the steps for finding this resource on the website. You would start at library and click through those other links until you get to the class pilot page. But again, this webinar is there, the guidance document and the class office hours that are linked within the webinar are there, so they're in multiple places for you to hopefully easily access them. This is my email, lisa.holiday@la.gov. Feel free to email me with any questions or concerns. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Don't forget the second L in holiday. Sometimes that happens and I don't get emails. Thank you again so much for your time today. I know that was a lot of information and I know you're already overwhelmed, but I hope you now also feel empowered and supported through this work. Again, feel free to reach out with any specific questions or concerns. Oh, great. Meredith dropped a link to the direct website in the chat. Thank you so much. So if you want to go straight to that link and download these slides and resources, she's got it there for you. All right. Well, thank you all so much, and y'all have a great rest of your week.